Hello everyone and welcome. In this session we are going to build the earpieces in here, the ones that are laying on the floor, and then we'll also add a reflection to the floor, and I'll show you how to do that. So let's get going right away. These are some quick renders of the final version, how the earpieces will look like, and the reflection. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and open up 3D Studio Max. And this is where we left from last time. We built the body of the iPod, the monitor, the wheel, and the controllers. So to build the earpieces, I am going to go ahead and minimize the perspective view, or the view that I was in, and I will go ahead and hide the iPod. So I'll do something like this. I'll select it all from the that looks like the perspective. That's the top view though, so I'm going to hit top and I'll say zoom extend. Here we go. So I'll select the top view. It will select everything that is everything that we have on our viewport. Pretty much when you drag a selection like so, it selects everything that you got on the viewport. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and right click. So I'll put the mouse on top, right click, and say hide selection. There it is. So right now the iPod is in there, the body of the iPod is in there, but we don't see it because I just hid the selection. I can always unhide by right clicking anywhere, and I'll say unhide all, so it brings the iPod back up. So for now I'm gonna go ahead and hide it, and I will unhide all when I create one of the earpieces, and then we'll play around with the other one, which is gonna be just a duplicate of one of the earpieces, and we're gonna change the rotation and the position of it. So I'll say hide selection. Here we go. Now to build let's bring up the slide one more time. So to build the body of this earpiece, so we're gonna start from two different cylinders. Okay, we're gonna break this into two different cylinders, and then we're gonna turn our norms on so we have a much smoother corners, and then we'll go ahead and build the piece that goes into the ear, and that one we're going to start that from a cylinder as well, and I'll show you how to do that. So there we go. So I'll go into the create tab, and I am within geometry. I'll click on cylinder. There we go. And let's go ahead and zoom out on the perspective view, do something like that, and I'll say cylinder. I'll build a cylinder like this. There we go. And let me click in here. This is what I got so far. Now let's go ahead and extend all. So this will zoom in into all viewports. Now I need to put this down on the floor in the horizontal format. Right now it's a vertical position. So I'll go ahead and rotate that. Here's the select and rotate tool. So I'll click on that. I will go on let's zoom out a little bit on the front, and I will rotate this way. I can rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Okay, I can always type in -90 in here. There we go, 90 degrees clockwise. Alright, so now let's come back to the perspective view. I'll just rotate and pan the viewport. So I'll change the orbit, the angle that we're looking at this. And I will also make a duplicate of that. Before I do that, let's see how many segments we have. That looks pretty smooth actually. So let me go ahead and maximize this view. There it is. And let's see. So we need two of these pieces. That's pretty good. I'm gonna get a duplicate of this. So again, the way we get a duplicate is by holding down shift and dragging that. So there it is. Now this one is gonna be smaller in height, so I can change the height. Okay. This one is gonna be a little bigger in height, so I can increase the height of this one. There it is. Now we're not going to worry about the overall scale in proportion to the iPod, because we can always scale that down. When we bring the iPod back up, the body of the iPod, then we'll scale this in proportion to how big the iPod is, okay? So we're not going to worry about that right now. Now, to get the smooth on the edges, so to get that roundness in here, I am going to extrude this. As a matter of fact, I will add a bevel. So first I'm going to select that. I will go ahead and convert that to editable polygon. There we go. And then I'll click on polygon so I can select the faces individual. So I just selected that face in there. And I'll go to bevel. Take a look. So now I can bevel this up. There we go. So this is what I got so far. Okay. Now if I turn my norms on for that, then I'll get something like that. That's perfect. Before I do that, I'll go ahead and do something like this. I'll move this that way a little bit. I'll go ahead and rotate or pan and rotate the viewport, and then I'll come back into this side, click on the polygon again. I'll go ahead and extrude this just a little bit, or bevel it, sorry. So let me actually zoom in so we can see it a little better. I'll click on bevel. I'll do it twice. Something like that. So now when I go ahead and turn the norms on, that's much better. The other side should be a lot more round, see? And this one is not as much. Okay, great. Now we can always cut. So if you want to, if I go ahead and undo this, I can always come back here and cut this section here. So if we had a cable running inside, we can have that just like that and hit delete on the keyboard. It'll cut that so you can see through. And this is the inner part of the what do you call it? The inner part of of the cylinder. So now let me not cut that. Let's go ahead and bevel it once and then cut that portion if you would like to. So if I can come back here and I'll click on bevel. My mouse is going a little too fast. There we go. I'll do one more. And I'll cut that portion right there. Now let's go ahead and turn the norms on. Okay, I like that a lot better. So let's keep this one. Okay, now if we want to play around with this even further, I can go to the front view. And I can say do something like this. I'll say get the vertices in there. Move them a little bit this way. There we go. So if we want to do that, we can do that. And that looks a lot more to what we want. Okay, there we go. So now let's do the same thing for the other one. I'll go ahead and rotate this way. I'll zoom out a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and bring the other one closer, or we can pan and then go and work with this one and then just bring that closer afterward. Let's see how big that one is going to be in proportion, so we can start on the good scale in here, the scale that we want. So I'll click on this one and I'll scale it a little bit, so something like that's good enough. Okay, so let's apply the same technique to this one. So to the edge, again, now we have to apply that roundness to the right edge. So I will have to come back here. There we go. Now I will convert that into an editable polygon. Right now it's still a cylinder, so in order to select the polygons we have to convert that into an editable polygon like that. And then I'll select one of the faces. So a polygon is a face of the cylinder. So here I can select individual faces like that. Okay. Now if I turn my wireframes on, I can see what phase am I selecting. So I can see that a lot better. Okay. And now you can select the faces, and if you want to play around with this and create, just extrude different shapes from that, you can do that. So let's say, where did it go? There's extrude. Yeah, you can extrude different shapes. I can click here, extrude some more shapes. So this is what I got so far. Okay, but I don't want to do that. But again, you can select individual faces. If you were to model something else that needed extrusion and you want to select the faces, you would have to convert that into an editable polygon and then click on polygon. So here we go. I'll click on that. I'll bevel that just a little bit. So again, I'm going to use the same technique as I did for the small piece. So I'll go ahead and let's zoom in so we can see it a little better. I'll bevel it. See how that looks. So if I turn the norms on for that, let's see how that looks. That's something that we want. Not really. So let's redo that one more time. So I'll come back here again, go to bevel. There we go. Let's take a look at this. So now when I turn my norms on, okay, that's more like it. So if I come back here, pretty much the same as that. Okay, now I need to apply the same thing to the other side. I'll come back here, see if I don't bevel that and if I don't cut the inner piece, this is how it looks. So here's the difference between that and the one that we just created. Okay, so that's the one we beveled, and this is the one without bevel. So we would have to bevel this one as well, because when we turn our norms on, it's not going to look great. So I'll come back here and I'll turn off the norms. I'll select on the polygon, select that side in there, and I'll click on the bevel. Okay, and then I'll hit delete on my keyboard so I can take that out. And coming back here, turn the norms on. And again, remember how we played around with the vertices. So I can come here and say, go ahead and click on the vertices. So first select the vertice option in here, and I can come here and say, move these a little bit closer. These set the vertices. So drag the selection like that. So you select all the vertices. Move them just a little bit closer like that. Okay, pretty good. So now let's go back to the perspective view. I'll zoom out. Let's go to maximize the perspective view. Now I need to bring this closer. So I'll do something like this. Bring that closer in here. There we go, something like that. And then we can see that from the front view. So if I click here on the front, let's select this all like so, click on that. So in here we can see that a lot better, how they actually how we merge them together like so. Okay, that looks pretty good. And if we were to animate the camera, how these get separated, then we can simply just drag one away from the other one. So there we go. I want to merge them like that. Now let's take a look at the color that we want to apply. The color of this, the shorter piece, it looks like it's the same color as the wheel, and the color of the bigger piece is the color of the body of the iPod. So I'll come back here and say, I think this is the color of the wheel that we applied, and here's the color of the iPod, which is white. Okay, so that's pretty good, actually, pretty close